Nathan Smith, you are part of the agribusiness team for Clemson Extension, and there's no point in growing stuff if you can't get it sold. So how do y'all fit in with the overall scheme, and how do you help South Carolina farmers?
Well, we try to help farmers from the business decision-making side, particularly related to marketing and production economics, cost and returns, looking at what it costs and what potential returns are, finance, farm business analysis, and also marketing and policy. Looking at new programs that come out related to policy, Farm Bill in particular.
So working with the legislature on when you get to that aspect.
Working with them, responding to requests for analysis on proposals, and also once something passes, how's it going to impact, or how will it might be implemented, and how decisions farmers will have to make.
Well, let's start with the individual farmers. You and I are speaking today at the South Carolina Agribiz and Farm Expo. So with the things you're discussing sound like they take a lot of planning and sitting down and looking at papers and businesses. Do you do actual somewhat with individual farmers, or do you try to get them in groups where that you can help them? How exactly do you take your skills to them?
A little bit of both. It's more right now group, doing meetings. Since I started about a year ago, most of the requests I've had are doing like production meetings and grower meetings, but we also do some one-on-one. We don't have the resources right now to do one-on-one with everybody, but certain times, if we can sit down with a farmer and help them look at their
individual situation,
right? Individual situation, whatever problem they're looking at or decision they're trying to look at. Try to help them out there.
At a production and growing meeting, what are some of the topics that you typically cover?
So far, the most common is, or the most requested is, market outlook and situation.
Oh.
But risk management, what crop insurance, looking at crop insurance, what are the costs and returns? So budgets. The enterprise budgets are heavily requested and utilized by farmers and through our county agents. Actually, the county agents do more one-on-one, and I'm kind of a resource to the county agents.
So y'all can do some interpretation of programs that are there and help farmers understand how they can relate to them on their individual situation.
Right,
okay.
Right. And talk about a lot of times there may be something that we may be able to bring to light that they hadn't thought about, or some farmers have a lot of different duties and a lot of different jobs that they're doing.
A lot of hats to wear.
A lot of hats to wear, and so we're trying to keep up on the economic side and help them to stay out front on the economics and what's coming down the road.
How does having an idea of how the market might be, say for cotton, if you make predictions in that, how does that relate to the farmer, and how do you get that information to him?
So looking at cotton, this is a time of year where they're doing their planning for this coming season for 2017. So, they're getting the books together and start doing planning. The market outlook, the first step I've always said, and what we try to do with the agribusiness team, is know what it costs for you to grow. On a per acre or per unit, whatever it would be. And that's your first step in coming up with what your price target is for next year. And then you got to look at the market and see where it's at and what the possibilities are for this coming year, and to know whether you can reach that price target.
So if a farmer knows that traditionally it cost him X dollars to grow cotton and the market is X minus 10, then maybe he would need to make some differences in choices of crops to plant this year?
Right. I mean, if it costs 70 cents per pound to produce cotton, and the market's right now at 71 cents roughly per pound, and you compare that with corn or peanuts or soybeans, and what are the prices there, and compare that return. Now, with cotton and peanuts, you got a little more investment in specialized machinery, so that plays into the decision. but just kind of looking at the market, what the market has to offer, what's the risk that we're looking at. And today it's a global market, you know, and a lot of times they're wanting to know not only what's happening in the U.S., but what's going on in the world and what's driving price. And just about anything these days can move the price from day to day, whether it's politics or geopolitical events around the world, you know, something that happens weather-wise in South America or China or Russia, wherever,
so
you know, depending on the commodity.
The days when our farmers could know they could just send their cotton up to the textile mills in Greenville are long since gone.
Right.
And we're dealing with a myriad of impulses and influences, and a lot of it is global.
Right, yeah, I mean, we're milling maybe 25%, 20% of our cotton that we produce in the U.S. is milled in the U.S. Rest of it goes overseas or out of country to be milled. So what's happening there is as big a impact on price.
How about with corn and soybeans and peanuts and things like that? Is it as important, overseas trade also important in those?
It is, particularly soybeans. Soybeans is another big crop that's exported, mainly to China. When you look at the production, the United States and South America, Brazil, Argentina,
yes,
Paraguay, those two regions produce 83%, varies between 80 to 85% of all the soybeans in the world. So it's us and South America as soybean producers. And then we export on about 90% between the two countries, all the soybean exports that we're the ones that are exporting.
Huge amount.
And the majority of it, 2/3 to even 3/4 in some years, is going to China. So yeah, it's trade is super important in terms of what prices are going to be.
This year, since we've had a change in administration, do y'all have to factor in predictions about what may happen with U.S. trade policy? It seems like that would be something you'd have to consider.
That definitely adds uncertainty to the market. You know, long term, I'm bullish on agriculture. Right now, we're going through probably our what we'd call down cycle in ag because prices have been low for the last 2 going on 3 years, well, even 4 years. But for your general major row crops and livestock too. So that's the uncertainty that moves prices. And with the new administration, you know, China's a big customer of ours, and we're talking a lot about China's their currency versus ours, and then trade balances. You know, ag's the only one with a positive trade balance right now in the U.S.
Are we?
Yeah, so we actually have a surplus trade balance. So we're in any response to trade sanctions or, you know, anything done by the new administration, ag is probably going to be affected because that's where they're going to come back and probably do reciprocal. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, that's a concern. It's hard to put that in dollars and cents on which commodities they'll choose to do that to, but you know, certainly soybeans or cotton could be on the target.
So in addition to the weather, our farmers have to worry about global politics,
right.
And that does add a lot to their concerns and worries and uncertainty. I'm glad that the agribusiness division of Clemson is being expanded. It's grown a lot in the last couple of years, and I know that you are a new member and you came in the midst of a terrible time and helped so much to put that Farm Aid bill together. I know you were over talking with Scott and Mickey daily, and we thank you for that, and we thank you now for what y'all are trying to do to see to it that the farmers in South Carolina will have all the resources they can to stay in business and see that agribusiness remains strong, and we hope that it will even grow stronger.
We appreciate that very much. It's been a great first year, and I'm glad to be in South Carolina and working for Clemson. With the agriculture industry is a great industry to work in, and you know, so I guess probably our message today was to, you know, make sure you're doing that planning and watching the markets, because things can change quickly, and you know, when the market rallies, you know, look for some of these opportunities where prices are right now. I mean, prices aren't near what they were a few years ago, but usually there's a couple of opportunities during the season to maybe book a little better price than it will be at harvest.
So farmers have to cut the computer on and look at the global outlook sometimes before they go out there and turn the tractor on, don't they?
Or look at their smartphone or have somebody monitoring it for them. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Nathan.
All right. Thank you.